Hi, welcome. We are going to learn a canon for Michaelmas today. Michaelmas, or the Feast of St. Michael and All Angels, is on September 29th. And this is a three-part canon setting of Revelation chapter 12, verses 7 through 9. And before we sing, I'm going to do just a little brief pitch that if your family is kind of new to the church calendar, I just want to commend that you would go ahead and try Michaelmas this year. It's an incredible holiday with so many fun ways to celebrate. You can make dragon bread, you can make swords, and if you have young children, and particularly young boys, this is an incredible way to capture their imaginations. Every year, my son, who's 5, gets really excited for this holiday since the first year we made dragon bread, and he was permitted to roughhouse with swords on Michaelmas. So as I told him that I was going to be recording this one today, he said, "Papa, can you please have all the men hold dragons?" And I said, "I'm not sure about that, son, but I thought it would only be fair to bring some little, dragons." This is just a brief, here's another one from his collection. This sword says Dragon Slayer. Here's a handmade, crocheted, stuffed dragon. And he sent me with about 15 drawings. He just wanted to be in the video in some way. I wasn't really sure how, but here they are. So anyway, it's an incredible way to capture the imaginations of your children, and it's a form of discipleship that I think people often miss when they're overemphasizing catechism and things like that are so important, is just turning the affections toward Christ. And we have these stories as part of our inheritance that we should be using and we can be using. So we'll be singing this canon as well, and I hope it will edify your Michaelmas celebration. I'm here with Andy and Jonathan. We're going to sing it once through in unison, and then we'll go 2 more times through in a 3-part canon. Once we've done that, I'll teach you phrase by phrase, and then we'll piece it back together and try singing it at the end. So here's what it sounds like. Ready? Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels, fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, thrown down.
Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels,
now
fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back.
His angels,
but he was defeated,
fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back.
His angels,
But he was defeated,
fighting against the dragon,
no
and the dragon and his angels fought back.
them in heaven.
But
and
was
the great
war arose, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought
and his angels,
but he was defeated,
fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven.
But
And
he was
the great
defeated,
dragon
and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, thrown down.
Nice. I liked that. That was good. So now let's sing that together, phrase by phrase. There are 4 distinct phrases, which means if you had some crazy group of men, you could put this together into 4-part canon if you wanted. We are going to do it in 3 parts. We're going to split each of the 4 phrases in half, and you repeat after me, Andy and Jonathan. We'll be singing with you. So phrase 1, first half, pretty simple. Now war arose in heaven.
Now war arose in heaven.
Going on. Michael and his angels.
Michael and his angels.
Put it together. Now war arose in heaven. Michael and his angels. Good. Now that's the easiest part, almost. The inside of the song is the hardest part. So if you can get the first and last phrases, or if you can get the middle two, the first and last phrases are just gravy. Second phrase, first half, sounds like this. Fighting against the dragon.
Fighting against the dragon.
Good. And then the rhythm here, this and the dragon part comes in really quickly. So we sing fighting against the dragon. Then we sing, and the dragon and his angels fought back. Try it.
And the dragon and his angels fought back.
Excellent. So now let's put those two together and do the whole second phrase. Fighting against the dragon and his angels fought back. Ready?
Fighting against the dragon and his angels fought back.
Great. And I hope this is more intuitive than it is simple, but we're going to piece together phrases 1 and 2 before we move on to the 3. So starting at the beginning, all together, phrase 1 and 2. Here's the beginning. Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels. Phrase 2. Fighting against the dragon and his angels fought back. Great. Now move on to phrase 3. We have, but he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And there really isn't a natural pause there, so I'm going to sing that one more time. Just listen carefully, and then we're going to try the whole third phrase. You may have noticed I snapped right here. That's to indicate that's the downbeat, or the beginning of the third phrase, or where the second part would have started, or the fourth part adjacent to this part would be starting. So we're going to go, but he was defeated, and that's the downbeat. So listen carefully, then we'll try it. But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven.
But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven.
Let's try that one more time. That's a tricky one. All together. Ready?
But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven.
Okay, fourth phrase, easiest phrase of all, and possibly the most fun, sounds like this. And the great dragon was thrown down. Try it here.
And the great dragon was thrown down.
It's difficult not to sing that one correctly. And since it's so easy, I'm going to just recommend, again, just to bring my children into this equation, because they have begun to sing this canon with a little choreographed element at the end, which looks like this. And I think they're kind of aiming at, swinging a stein in a mead hall after a great battle, something like that. So you could feel free to do that if you want. One more time on that fourth phrase. And the great dragon was thrown down. Or maybe it's like a, sword being held up in triumph. Let's add phrases 3 and 4 now and try those together. I'll sing it, you repeat. But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down. Ready?
But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, thrown down.
There it is. All right. Well, so now if you need to review any of those, feel free to go ahead and do so. We are going to put it back into unison and sing the whole thing twice through together. So I'll be holding up fingers, phrase 1, phrase 2, phrase 3. If you get off, you can follow us there, and then we'll see if we can put it back into canon. 2 times in unison. Ready?
Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels, fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, thrown down. Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels, fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, thrown down.
All right. Well, now we're going to put it back into 3-part canon. You can feel free. The first step with all of these is always just to sing and build independence on your part when other things are going on around you. So feel free to just sing with the first part. Jonathan will be starting. However, if you want to try it out, some of you could follow with me on the second part when Jonathan, or on the beginning when Jonathan gets to the second part, or with Andy, who will start the third part when I am at the second part and Jonathan is at the third part. So let's give it a shot. We'll go 3 times through, I think.
Perfect. Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels,
Now
fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was defeated against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. Them his angels,
but he was
fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought
them
back.
in heaven.
But
And
he
the
was
great
defeated, and there was no longer any place
Michael
and his angels, and the great fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven.
But he
And
was
the great fighting
defeated,
against the
and there was
dragon,
no
and the dragon and his angels
place
fought
for them in
back.
heaven.
But
And
he
the
was
great
arose, and there was no longer any place
Michael
for them in
and his
heaven. And the
Now
great fighting against the
in
dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought
and
back.
his angels.
But he was defeated,
fighting against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought
for them in heaven.
But he
And
was
the great fighting
defeated,
against the
and there
dragon,
was
and
no
the dragon and his
longer
angels
for
fought
them
back.
in heaven.
But he
And the
was
great
defeated,
dragon
and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, thrown down.
And there you have it. So that's great. And I'm just going to say one more thing about this. Sing it with your family. Have fun with it. If it bombs and falls apart utterly, it's okay. It doesn't matter. The goal is just to be singing God's word together as a family. And I'm going to add one more little asterisk to this. Papa, Father, step up to the plate and lead your family on this one. There's just something a little amiss, about this being a primarily mother-driven activity. And so, mighty man of valor, whether you sing or not, just give it a holler. Just yell it out. I don't care if you're tone deaf. Doesn't matter. And capture your children's imaginations for the sake of Christ and for the sake of the gospel. Thanks.